place. Jennifer is delivering speech number 2 from the Competent Communicator Manual. The objective of Jennifer's speech is to have a well-organized speech. So that's speech number 2. And the title of her speech is How to Plan a Hawaii Vacation on a State Worker Budget. So please give a warm welcome.
Stand here, I'm in somebody's way. Here, is that better?
That's good.
Okay.
Don't worry.
All right, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmates. So, can you guess why I have a smile on my face right now? The past few weeks of experiencing Michigan's lovely winter, I've had my mind set on paradise, planning my Hawaiian vacation on a state worker budget. My husband and I are going to be celebrating 10 years of marriage come November, so I went to him and said, I really want to go to Hawaii. And he said, okay, and how are we going to afford that? We both work for the state. So I said, I'll do some research. And that's how I came about this presentation. It really comes down to 4 simple steps without having to give your firstborn child away. The first is decide the what, why, where, when, how, and how long you want to be there. For some of you can use a lot of this advice for most of your trips, but especially for Hawaii, there's so much to offer. So many different islands, so you really need to research why you want to go and what you want to experience. The second one is booking a flight, the third one is reserving lodging, and the fourth one is planning ahead with food and activities. So to expand on that first step, to keep my speech within the time limits, I'm just going to give a few words to briefly describe these islands. But you have Kauai on the upper left, and this one is known as the Green Garden Isle. Just lush green valleys, unspoiled beauty, but it's also known for very rainy areas, so you have to do your research as to what part of the island you would want to stay on, so you don't get rain on the whole time. Then you have Oahu next to it. Oahu is known as the gathering place. It has a lot of people, sometimes bad traffic, but it has good shopping and more of a nightlife for people. The middle 2 islands are not very visited, so I'm going to skip those, and I'm going to move on to Maui. Maui is known as the Valley Isle. It's known for beautiful beaches, waterfalls, whale watching, and a good mix of natural beauty, but still you get a little bit of city life. And then Hawaii's Big Island, which is, has an active volcano, 11 of the 13 different world climates just on this one little island, and wild beauty for the adventurous. So when you're planning a trip to Hawaii, no matter what island or islands you choose, you can't really go wrong, as long as you do your research and plan. So the first thing you're going to want to think of is booking your flight. I use Kayak, but I know there's several, several websites you can use, like Travelocity, Orbitz. But this one in particular I like because once you put in your dates and your locations, this fare calendar comes up. And if you're a little bit flexible on your dates, you can actually see where you could save over $200 by just switching your days a couple days off. So when this came up, that's how my husband and I chose our dates. Another couple ways you can save money is actually signing up. Again, this is Kayak, but I know other websites do it. Sign up for their Fare Watchers emails, and so you give them your dates and your location, and they'll send you periodic emails on when their fares go for sale. And the third tip of advice on this is book your flights on Wednesdays. I've read this in several places that Wednesdays, that is when the airfares have their sales and their lower prices. Once you get your main island, the mainland to an island flight booked, then you need to actually look, and if you're going to go to more than one island, how are you going to get in between the islands? For our trip, we went to iflygo.com. And then Hawaiian Air also offers many flights. And we're going to Oahu and Maui, so the average time frame from Oahu to Maui is about a 30-minute flight, and it usually averages about $58 one way. That's if you book in advance, though, so that's my tip of advice there is to make sure you book in advance. Step 3 is the lodging. since we're going to be staying on Maui for the majority of our trip, and Maui is condo central, we came across this HomeAway.com. And again, there's several different websites you could use, but focusing on this one has a lot to offer as far as condos go. And you just put in your criteria, which island you want to do, which part of the island you want to do, and then how much you want to spend, what type of, the number of bathrooms, number of bedrooms, etc. And your search goes through. You can narrow down your search, and once you actually choose some rentals that you want to compare, you can go ahead and compare them side by side to go through the criteria, and that might help you make your decision. And they also have a lot of photos available to make anybody jealous. Beautiful views and reviews, which I always find reviews very helpful when you're planning. So once you have the two big things done, the flights and the lodging, you can go to your food and activities. And I have some things to keep in mind on this part. Most of the islands have a Costco on the island, and the groceries down there I hear are extremely expensive. So in this book that I'm going to mention in a minute, they recommended once your flight lands, the Costco is near the airport, to go ahead to Costco, get your food, especially since we're going to be staying at a condo. Probably going to end up doing our breakfast there and possibly some dinners grilling out. So that's one recommendation to save some money. And then there are several farmers markets where you can get your local fresh produce a lot cheaper than you can at the grocery store. Also, they have entertainment books available on Oahu and Maui, just like we do here on the mainland, that focus on dining opportunities and lodging and your actual tours that you can get some good discounts on. And then ground transportation. For Oahu, I hear that the hotels have $15 parking per day, usually, average. So they recommended actually taking a bus, and that would be a good opportunity, especially if you're staying on Waikiki Beach. But as far as Maui goes, you want to go the route of Priceline or Orbitz to get a rental car. And I did hand out a resource page, and I hope you all got it, but most of the resources I used for this was from Pauline Frommer's book. She's the daughter of Arthur Frommer, the big traveler, and Hawaii Spend Less, Seymour. She has a lot of good tips in here. So I'd recommend this for anybody. If you follow these 4 simple steps that I gave you, you'll actually have more time and money to spend on doing these wonderful activities and seeing the true beauty of Hawaii. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know which